6 months, 180 days. That is a damn long time. That is enough time to make a 180-degree transformation with your persona, with your habits, with your discipline, your mindset, and your success. So in this video, we are going to be taking a look at the 5 steps you need to transform your life in the next 180 days and become unrecognizable. So let's begin. Part 1, analyze the weak links. So the most important part of achieving goals and just leveling up in life is identifying your weak links. You need to know what is holding you back. You need to know what limiting beliefs are obstructing your success. If you find what's holding you back, then you can remove it and get it out of your way, and you can make big progress. Because if you don't know what's holding you back, you're always going to play this guessing game, and that is not how you win. And sometimes external points of view are the best way to uncover your own weaknesses, and that is how you grow, by surrounding yourself with a community of people who are gonna put you accountable for your actions, who are gonna tell you, okay, maybe you didn't do this habit, okay, maybe you could be better at this, you know, maybe you should go to the gym more, maybe you can train your physique more, or maybe you can work more on this area. And it all falls into place. My life changed when I started getting feedback from other people. I got feedback from my friends, I got feedback from the people closest to me on how I can improve. And that is so important, because most of the time the ego blinds us to things we cannot see within ourselves. We might have this weakness that is so big, but we can't see it, but other people can. And that is why having this feedback and accountability is so important. So you need to analyze your weak links. You need to identify everything that is obstructing your success. Pause the video right now, take out a piece of paper, take out a journal, whatever you want to write on, and just write down things that are holding you back, things that you think, if this was not in my life, I would be better off. And once you have this list, it's almost like a priority list that you can follow to identify what is the number one most important thing that needs addressing in your life. You know, maybe you're not reading enough, maybe you're not journaling enough, maybe you're not doing enough of the good habits, so that is where you have to start. Or maybe you're doing the good habits, but you're spending also too much time doing the bad habits. So that's something you should focus on. There is no point in focusing on things that you don't need to focus on. If you focus on the 1% of the things in your life that are the most important, that is where 99% of the results come from. It's like the Pareto principle, the 20% and 80% rule. 20% of the action you take is responsible for the 80% of results. So this goes for anything. On my YouTube channel, most of my subscribers are from a handful of videos. It is not all my videos combined. It is almost like this. There's a few videos that are overperforming and they do the best and they bring in the most subscribers, and then everything else just starts to gain traction. And that's the thing. Sometimes you just need one big win. Most of the times, the one client that brings in 5K, 10K a month, that is basically all you need to not just offset your losses, but, you know, overcome them by a mile. So analyzing your weak links is one of the most important things, and it becomes so much easier when you have a community of like-minded people in the self-improvement space. And that's why I have Discipline OS, which is my personal private community. So part 2 is accepting limiting beliefs. You need to forgive your past, because just the same way there's a downward spiral, there's also an upward spiral. The downward spiral is like you get lost, you get confused, you spend more time on your phone, more time in the bad habits, and then you lose motivation, so you do more of those things, so you lose more motivation, and it's just a cycle. But the same way, the same principle you can apply for the upward spiral. You start reading, you start journaling, you start taking care of your health, and now all of a sudden, you have this upward momentum that just takes you places. You start reading, and because you read, you have the self-image of a person who is productive, so you spend more time in deep work, you spend more time in the flow state, and then you're like, okay, why don't I journal as well? And then you exercise, and then it's just 100% unlimited upside potential. So release the old you, release the old version of yourself. If you want to become a new person, if you want to enter this new realm, this new life, this new person, you need to just leave the old person behind. You need to forget the past. Because what I see with a lot of people is they sabotage future success by focusing on the past. If you just forget the past and let it behind you, let it be behind you, you're gonna find that now you have unlimited potential to progress, and you remove the biggest obstruction. So you need to stop letting the past ruin your present. You need to let go. You need to allow yourself to become somebody new. And that also has to do with identity shifting and self-image hacking. So if your self-image is here and the action you want to take is up here, then you're always going to fall back to the lowest systems that you have. So the best thing you can do is upgrade your self-image over time. And the way you do that is accept that you have limiting beliefs from your childhood, from your past, from general life experience. We all have these limiting beliefs. But step 1 is accepting them, step 2 is writing them down, and step 3 is just crossing them out. When you write them down, cross them out, just let these go. So part 3 of becoming unrecognizable in 180 days is implementing change. So the first 2 parts were basically building up the mindset, we're building up the metaphysical realm. In our minds, we're changing and shifting beliefs and identity. And then the third part is solidifying these gains with real evidence. You know, you can wish as much as you want, you can have all these beliefs, but it really locks in your results, it really locks in your life and your trajectory when you just simply take action that aligns with this goal that you have, that aligns with this self-image. Because step 1 is basically solidifying your mindset. Then step 2 is creating evidence so that you can make this jump. You can jump to the next version of yourself, the future version of yourself. So build new habits, shift your mindset, shift your mental beliefs. This is where you lay the foundation for your evolution. Start picking up habits like reading, like journaling, like exercise, the basics, you know, the minimum. And once you have those, or if you're already doing those, you just want to step it up. You know, read first thing in the morning. I love to do this. When I wake up, the best thing I can do for dopamine, for the rest of the day, for productivity, for focus, for just intention, is picking up a book and reading. It doesn't have to be so long. It can just be for 10 minutes, for 20 minutes. It doesn't have to be. As long as you're just doing these things, it starts to just progress and compound. So double down on the basics. Double down on the habits that tell your self-image that you are the person who is going places. That is so important. Because if you have step 1 and 2, and you've done them pretty well, so you have the mindset, you've created this mental identity shift, but then your actions, you know, you eat junk food, you sleep very late, you wake up very late, you just don't exercise, you're lazy, you don't really do anything with your time. What that's going to do is it's going to create a dissonance. It's going to create this disassociation and this mental chaos, and you're going to lose self-trust. So what you have to do is, number 1, set the foundation. Then number 2, create evidence so that these two can match. Your self-image can match the actions you take. And that is when your trajectory just skyrockets. That is when you become the person you dream of. Oh, and just to let you know, all these topics I talk about in my videos are things we teach in depth inside Discipline OS, where we have a community of like-minded people. You can connect, you can grow. And these are core topics to creating unrecognizable transformation within yourself and just improving your life, improving your habits, improving your discipline, and everything else will follow from that point. You know, the money, the business, the success, the physique, all of that comes when you've mastered the basics. So Discipline OS is linked in the description, first link. And now let's move on to part number 4. This is all about rewiring your neural chains. So you need to replace old links with strong ones. You need to commit to the process. And right now you have so many neural pathways in your brain that connect a certain action to a certain emotion. So in order to change your habits, in order to change the way you spend your time, in order to make better decisions, in order to just be a better person, you need to shift these neural pathways. And such a really good way to do this is by taking out a journal and writing down your dreams, writing down your goals. Because just saying it is not enough. Imagining it is not enough. You need to write it down to lock it in. You need to lock in your future visions and dreams and your future goals. I mean, it's pretty impossible to write down all your goals with conviction and not achieve them in the next 5-10 years. So rewire your neural chain, your neural pathways, and the way you do that is by aligning everything together. Everything has to come together to create this lifestyle, to create this persona. Imagine a film crew that is walking around with you everywhere you go. When you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, you have a film crew, you have a camera, a set of cameras just following you around. You know, you'd obviously make different decisions. You'd obviously not do certain things because they're associated with shame, or you would do more things because they make you feel proud. And this is almost like playing a little game with yourself, where you almost put this pressure to live up to this certain ideal persona and avatar. You create an avatar for yourself. You create a character, and you put this pressure on yourself so that you have to live up to this. You have to live up to these expectations. And this all starts with things that you do with your time. This all starts with your approach to life. This all starts with everything that you do with your time. And are you excited about your goals in your mind? You know, what is your view on your future potential? Like, if I tell you right now, how do you see your future? Do you see it in a positive light or a negative light? Are you excited about your future? Are you hopeful about your future? Do you think that you have a big future to come? These are very important mental indicators that really drive success home. So commit to the process. Do everything in your power to achieve what you want to achieve, or at least work your way there. There's an amazing quote that goes like this: if you wanted it bad enough, you'd be on the way there or already there. So as part of the process of building up and changing these neural pathways and changing your identity and shifting your self-image is just simply being so focused and so clear on where you want to go. You have this vision. When you close your eyes, you can see it, you can feel it, you can visualize it, and it almost feels just on the border of real. And the more vivid you can visualize all of this stuff in your mind, the closer you're gonna get to your goal. The more steps of action you're gonna take, the more you're gonna feel the need and the urge to change your ways, to change your habits, to change your discipline. You know, there's some people, they don't really care if they eat junk food. They don't care if they're, if they're just wasting their time. They don't really care. It doesn't bother them. But then there are other sets of people, and if you're watching till here, I'm 100% sure that's you. It bothers you. If you don't keep your promise, if you don't go for the run you said you would go on, if you don't read books like you said you would, if you don't do these things, all of a sudden it bothers you so much to the point where it drives you to take action. And that's, I was like that. I'm always like that. And that is a really important trait that tells you that you're gonna be successful. You just have to stay consistent. You just have to analyze and assess yourself. So now let's move on to part number 5, and this is the most important part by far. You need to master your timeline. You see, consistency is your superpower. Time plus action equals results. Focus and intention and clarity plus effort equals transformation. The way you really transform and become unrecognizable, when you go to your family reunion or when you see people you haven't seen for a long time, they're just like, who is this person? Who is this changed and transformed person? And that's a nice feeling to have. That is a nice thing to experience, because it means that you are evolving. It means that you're becoming a higher value male or female, or a higher value person. You're leveling up in terms of your potential and what you can achieve. So you need to master your timeline. There is you right here, and this is the future version of yourself, and this is you right now. Obviously, you're gonna work every day, you're gonna focus on your goals, and yes, you are getting closer and closer towards your goal, but most people, the most successful people I've seen, they just collapse timelines. They don't wait for these small steps. They make a really incredible transformations where they just jump, they do this quantum leap towards their desired state and their dream life. And the way they do that is by just having such conviction, such belief, and also taking action that aligns with that matches everything together. I know I've said this before, but the truth is, step number 1 is belief. One part of the equation is belief. The second part of the equation is action. If you have one and you don't have the other, it's going to be so hard to see really consistent progress. If you have belief and you have the mental state, but you're not taking action, then you're going to go nowhere, right? If you don't have belief, but you're taking action, you're also going to go nowhere. So the perfect alignment comes when you match the two. When you match perfect belief and conviction and identity with perfect action, perfect mental being and physical being and consistent habits, and you just match the two, that is when you get the collapsed timeline. That is when you just make years of progress in 180 days. So if you're serious about really nailing down your focus and removing distractions and being a high value person who just levels up, who creates this, unrecognizable transformation, which I'm sure you are because you're watching till here. If that sounds like you, then your next course of action is to click the first link in the description. There's going to be a website, watch the video up there, and then read the text, and then decide if this community is a good fit for you. So I'm Dan, I make videos like these, self-improvement, mindset, and discipline. So I'll see you in the next one. You got this.